Hey everybody, Rockin Robbie Billups here for Pop Culture Philosophers, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, welcome to the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But first up, I gotta give a big shout out to David Hatch. He was our first Patreon supporter. We really appreciate him. David, just want to say this video is for you. Thank you for everything that you do. And let's get right on with it with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Gideon Falls number 3. No surprise, once again, issue 1, pick of the week. Issue 2, pick of the week. Issue 3, pick of the week. This book is amazing. I love it. It oozes with atmosphere. It's just brilliant to me. I love it. The mystery is deepening further. The characters are becoming more well-defined and clear. Everything about this book is just amping up at a slow crawl, and it's just a perfect pace, a perfect tone, perfect atmosphere. Jeff Lemire's script is great. It unveils just enough new information and brings us into new mysteries just the right amount throughout each issue. The characterization is spot on and very, very subtle. The artwork by Andrea Sorrentino is amazing. It is impeccably awesome. It's got a grit to it. It's got a fade to it. It's got like a translucency to it almost that it doesn't typically have from this cat's artwork, but it's so awesome. It's very creepy. Great horror in comic books. It's about this town. It's about the haunted past of this town. It's a ghost story. It's about faith. It's about so much. It's about being human, and it's about depression. It's about things that are sad. It's just such a great, amazing book. I love it so much. Jeff Lemire, Sorrentino with Dave Stewart on the coloring. Perfect book. I love it. This book cannot come with a high enough recommendation. Like I said, in issue 3, the mystery deepens, the characters become more well-defined. Such a great book. I love this world that's being built up. I am totally entrenched into seeing what is going to happen in this book because I love it. And the ending, once again, a great ending that's going to have you coming back wanting more. So that's the pick of the week, Gideon Falls, yet again. Let's move over to some DC books. We got No Justice, number 2 out this week. Justice League No Justice. This is the big weekly series that's leading up to the new Justice League stories, the new stories and the new books by James Tynion IV, Joshua Williamson, and Scott Snyder. No Justice was awesome. I thought the first issue was great. Issue 2 was even better. I love it. The only thing I could say negative about this book is that not every page is done by Francis Manapul. That's the only thing. Now, Marcus Toe, who fills in here and lends a hand, does a great job, but it is a little jarring at times when it goes back and forth between the styles. Francis Manapul's artwork, though, when he is on the page, is some of the best I've seen in comics yet, especially when it comes to giant superhero type things. The characters, the plan, everything makes sense. I love the interaction between the characters in this issue. It's big, explosive. It's got great, crazy, cosmic comic book ideas. A little bit like the Celestials, but nonetheless, I still love this book a lot. And a while back on Twitter, I just want to say that a while back, Scott Snyder said, what do you guys want to see at DC in 2018? And I said, Martian Manhunter and a villainous Lex Luthor. Well, there's a panel in here where he gave me my exact wish, and that is super awesome. I love these characters. I love these teams. It works really well. The interaction's great. The stories are big and epic, and it's got a great ending as well. I love it. Superhero fanfare at its best. Moving along with DC, Batman number 47 is here. It's the final part of the gift Tom King has given me. My personal favorite Booster Gold story. I love it. It's ridiculous. Booster Gold decides he's going to give Batman a wedding gift, so he goes back in time and he saves his parents. Now, his whole point to do this is that in all these typical type time travel stories, the world is worse off for the people involved, right? And so he's going to realize what's going on and make the decision to become Batman again and revert time to how it is. However, that is not actually the case. The world is terrible, but Batman's actually very, very happy that his parents are alive, and he doesn't want to let that go. So Booster's completely messed up reality, completely messed up the time stream, and it's really funny and absurd, but man, does it have a dark ending that I just loved. I thought it was really, really solid. This was one of Tom King's best issues of Batman, period, I think, that he's done. Seriously. Tony Daniel's artwork, too. Seriously, some of the best work of his career. This dude's getting better and better. Great artwork. I was about to pull out a page, and it was a big Bendis ad, but like, just seriously, some great artwork, explosive, huge. I loved it. I thought this was great. I'm really starting to turn the corners, more corners, around the bases on Tom King's Batman. That was really, that gift story I really, really liked. The Superman special is here. This is Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason basically finishing off their Superman run in one special issue, and this is what it is, and it goes back to Dinosaur Island, where the losers were. If you've been reading their Superman comic books, you know that back in like, what, issue 7 or 8 or something like that, they go back and they find this Dinosaur Island, and the losers are there, and they interact with them, and all that stuff. That was a great issue. This kind of like puts a cap on all of that and does some neat little changes for some future DC possibilities, I think. Also got a couple little background stories that are really neat. Background stories. They're pretty neat. Mark Russell and Brian Hitch had one that's pretty interesting. I did like it a lot. Thought that was good. And a really cool one at the end with Kara Andrews' artwork about the atomic skull. So this one was really, really cool. It's a nice celebration to what Gleason and Tomasi have done, and also, of course, a celebration with the character. And I think this is officially the last Superman book until Bendis takes over in just a few weeks, guys. So be excited for that. I've read the first issue of Man of Steel, and I loved it. So I'm super, super pumped for that. The New Age of Heroes brings us a new title. New Challengers #1 is here. Man, this feels like this book was announced a long time ago. It's finally here. Andy Kubert on the artwork. It's exactly what you expect. Nothing new from Mr. Kubert, but really good, solid work. What you expect from him is in this book. My issue, by the way, has this like, it's like completely undone there. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Anyway, it's really a neat and odd take on the challengers of the unknown. So it's a complete new team. It's a whole new idea. It does spin out of metal because it's kind of a little bit about that mountain and all that stuff, but very kind of just like most of these books, kind of like, just a little bit in there. It's written by Scott Snyder and Aaron Gillespie. So I don't know how much Snyder's actually into the script. The script was actually really good. It flowed very well. I loved the dialogue. I thought the pace of the story was great. I really did like some of the characters, but I really liked the hook of this comic book. I don't want to explain it to you because I really think you just need to read it and just let it unveil itself for you. But it's a very interesting take on the challengers, at least one that I'm not familiar with. But I thought it was really cool. It does respect a little bit of what came before, but it does something completely new and bonkers and wacky all on its own. And I liked it a lot. I really, really did like it. New Age of Heroes, yeah, Damage. Damage was the first one that came out. I really liked this book. I was talking about Tony Daniel on Batman doing the best work of his career lately. To me, it started with Damage. I loved his work on the first 3 issues of Damage. Issue 4 had Gary Nord. I was a little worried about it, but once the action picked up, I was really satisfied with it. This one has yet another new artist, Diogenes Neves. I said that completely wrong. And there are moments like this that are giant and explosive, and what we have come to expect out of this Damage comic, which is basically the DC version of Weapon H/Hulk type thing, right? So I still kind of like the story, but the artwork in this one just did not do it for me. It never really grabbed me, and it made me realize the importance of that big, dynamic, splashy artwork. Now, there are times where the artist attempts it in here, and it's not bad art. It's way better than I could possibly do, but it just didn't grab me. It didn't really feel as sleek and clean as it has looked in the previous issues, so that kind of bothered me a little bit. But also the story now started feeling a little two-dimensional, a little cliche, a little too cliche, or at least maybe the cliches now without the Tony Daniel artwork. They're coming through a little bit more. Some stilted dialogue, some like just, I don't know. It's starting to wane on me just a little bit with this issue. And I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen. Plus, editorial at DC, like the Poison Ivy stuff that's happening here, I'm sure there's more up with it, but I thought the Poison Ivy stuff was different over back, whatever. We're not talking about that. Brave and the Bold #4 is here. Liam Sharp, talking about artwork of his career right here. Beautiful, gorgeous artwork. Seriously, highly detailed, great fantasy stuff. Got a lot of like Celtic influence into it because of course it's about Celtic mythology, and it's a really cool tale with Batman and Wonder Woman. It's a little overly verbose at times, but the artwork is just illustrious. I love the story. I do like this book. I think it's amazing. I think Liam Sharp's doing a hell of a job right here. Rumors are that after this he's moving over to Green Lantern, possibly with Grant Morrison. That would be crazy. That would be wild. That would be super cool. But it's nice to see this world in this comic book with Wonder Woman existing with it and Batman being very out of place with it. That's really cool. Seriously. Aquaman is out this week. It's Aquaman #36. Dan Abnett's been doing an alright job with Aquaman. It hasn't really like impressed me overly too much. So it's kind of up and down for me. This is an up issue. I like this issue. I thought it was really good. It's got great artwork by Riccardo Federici. Good coloring. I like it. It's a nice, simple story right now. They're overthrowing the evil current king of Atlantis, and Aquaman's, going with his former Kingsguard to go and take care of the new king, but it's actually kind of fun. It was a nice single That's not a single issue story, but it's a nice single comic book. It's a nice chapter in this ongoing story that's finally wrapping up. The only problem I have with Aquaman really right now is that the story just feels like it's going on forever and ever and ever. It really does. But it does seem like to be like amping up at a nice pace. So, Aquaman, cool. But look at that cover right there by Joshua Middleton. Aquaman, cool. That's all I could come up with. Wildstorm number 13 is out this week, finally, from Warren Ellis and John Davis Hunt. With the new colors now, we got Steve Bolcelato here on the coloring. I typically get the Davis Hunt artwork covers, but dude, we got Francisco Francavilla on that one. Look at that great cover. This is an awesome issue. Backlash makes his new Wildstorm appearance. Lynch is in here. Lots of cool stuff. A nice little bit of Spartan. A lot of it's now really starting to pick up, and all the alien stuff's coming out full board. All the players are where they need to be. New players are being introduced. The history's being unveiled. The story's getting more complex bit by bit. All the pieces are moving together. We seem to have like now the Authority almost like kind of teaming up. Dudes, this book is awesome. I've loved this book. I think it totally got snubbed by the Eisners this year. But whatever, I love this book. A grounded, sleek sci-fi retake on that extreme dynamic 90s Wildstorm universe. I love it. It's one of my favorite comic books out right now, and it remains so. Let's jump over to Marvel. Marvel unleashed the second issue of the Avengers this week. The first issue blew me away, really blew me away, and the second issue is just as good story-wise. I think the story is so fantastic. It's great. It's big, and it's epic, and it's very similar to what they're doing over at No Justice, just a little bit. But it's still really, really cool. There's a narrative trick in here with the narration that I think everybody will see coming pretty much from the first page, so the end is not going to really surprise or shock you. But the one thing I didn't like about this book as much is that there's two inkers on here. So now you got Mark Morales and Jay Leaston inking on Ed McGuinness, and it makes the artwork feel a tad inconsistent. I really like the strong lines that were in the first issue. That kind of softens up in the second issue, and it kind of threw me off just a little bit artistically, but the story was still there, the action, the composition, the flow, the storytelling. It was all still there, and McGuinness was doing some great job. I just feel like it's a little inconsistent from page to page with different inkers, totally a different style, but great stuff. The characters are becoming closer and closer interactive, but you still got the big three out doing their thing. Carol comes in. What's going on with the Hulk? It's really fun. Giant superhero action, just like No Justice. These books are killing it right now. You want giant, you go to those movies like Infinity War, and you guys are like, wow, that's so crazy. Man, they do that stuff in the comic book pages every week, guys, and they're doing it right now. This is Final Host, Dark Celestial story. I'm so pumped for. I'm loving it. Absolutely. Quicksilver No Surrender, #1 is out this week. This directly follows Avengers No Surrender. So if you want to know what happened to Quicksilver, read this book. If you don't care what happened to Quicksilver, I would say skip this book. Seriously, it's written by Saladin Ahmed. I was kind of excited to read it. Didn't really like it that much. It's got some interesting artwork, and I do like the coloring. Some of the coloring is really cool. I think a lot of you guys are not going to be digging this artwork, though. Story-wise, I didn't really like it. Didn't really like it at all. It just feels like it's just like capitalizing on this No Surrender thing because it was a success. And it's a way to sell a Quicksilver book. It's just random to me. I don't know. Hunt for Wolverine, Claws of a Killer. That's out this week. There's these 4 miniseries leading up to the final Hunt for Wolverine stuff, whatever's going on. I have a feeling that almost all these miniseries are not going to result in us finding Wolverine. But they're going to be about the hunt, right? So in this one, you got Lady Deathstrike, you got Daken, you got Sabretooth. They hear that Wolverine's back. They want to find him so they can kill him. It's very simple. It's very simple. The artwork is great, though. The artwork is great. It's Butch Guice. Butch Guice doing some amazing artwork. I really like this cat's artwork. I've liked it ever since back in Superman days, and then he went over and did Ruse with Mark Waid. Really like the artwork. I really like the pacing, like the flow of the story. It's just Mariko Tamaki did the script, and just I don't know, it's just a little thin. It's just a little thin. It just feels a little thrown together. But give me some more action. Give me some really cool stuff. There's some neat parts, especially towards the end. Yeah, I forgot about the end there. I do like the ending. I don't know. It's all right. I just feel like this whole Hunt for Wolverine thing's falling flat for me, guys. Speaking of the X-Men, the wedding special is here, so I haven't been reading X-Men Gold, but Kitty Pryde and Colossus are getting married, so let's check that out, right? Why am I reading this? Kelly Thompson writing an X-Men story. That's super cool. And Chris Claremont coming back. So that's super cool, right? This is basically inconsequential, though. This is basically the Bachelor and the Bachelorette parties of Kitty Pryde and Peter. That's exactly what it is. But it's actually really fun. And they're light, and they're cool, and they're neat. I don't know, and it's cool character studies. And it does start with Chris Claremont coming back with Todd Nyock doing some of the artwork. And it's basically an exploration of the history of Kitty Pryde, of course, a character created by Chris Claremont. He's very attached to this character, so it's nice to see him kind of write a story about her and how far she's come as a character in her life and just as a character in our lives. And that was really cool. And so then you got a story by Guggenheim with the dudes in Vegas, and they're in Vegas, and it's the post-damnation Vegas. And it's actually a really kind of fun, light story. And then Kelly Thompson does the Girls' Night Out story, and that's kind of fun and neat as well. My favorite story, though, was probably the one in Vegas. I actually really liked that one, though it was really nice seeing Kelly Thompson and Chris Claremont do some X-Men work. I would like to see more from those two in the future. Speaking of X-Men, X-Men Red #4 is here. Tom Taylor's scripting is great. The dialogue just chops and it flows. It's great. It's got a nice snap to it, right? The artwork is all right. It's solid at times. I am not down with the redesigns on these X-Men Red costumes, man. Like seeing them in the costumes at the end of this issue. I do not like Jean's new costume. I don't know what's up with that. But it's all right. It's kind of starting to lose interest it's just, to me, right? Like, I don't know. I like some of the characters, but nothing, 4 issues in it, and nothing's really hooked me that much. It seems like Jean Grey came back and it's not been a big deal. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be a big deal, I guess. I don't know. I thought it would be a big deal when Jean finally came back and Marvel finally tried to breathe new life into the X-Men books. I hope some things are coming. I hope some changes are coming for the X-Men books, because seriously, just right now, they're not cutting it. And I do think this might be the best X title with an actual X-Men book. I mean, there's some good work right now being done. I'm excited for Matthew Rosenberg to come up on Astonishing. And I am excited. Tom Taylor's a good writer, and I like some of the stuff going on here, but the new characters are not really interesting me that much. And I'm just not invested into the story that much, and it's starting to lose me a little bit. Infinity Countdown has a Daredevil special out this week. This is basically, we know that Turk has the Mind Stone. This is Matt confronting Turk. And it's kind of cool. But it doesn't really do anything new, at least not that I think. It doesn't really do anything new. It kind of tells you where he got the stone, but it doesn't really seem to matter that much. But it's all right. It's got some nice artwork by Phil Noto and Chris Sprouse, though. That's pretty cool. But Gary Duggan does it. This Infinity Countdown, it just feels like this. He's getting all the stones where he needs them to go in order to do Infinity Wars. So this is kind of neat. If you're a completist, you want to get all this Infinity Countdown stuff, definitely check this out. I'm sure this will explore out a little bit further, because something does happen at the end here that's probably going to reverberate out further into some of the Infinity Countdown stuff involving Turk. So if you're following the Infinity Countdown stuff, I'll check it out. But excuse me, it's not the greatest out, right? Captain America 702 is here. I'm loving this story right here. This is basically Mark Waid's last story, making way for Ta-Nehisi Coates and Lionel Francis Yu to come onto the title on July 4th. So it's just this nice little story that's set in the 24th century about one of Captain America's ancestors. I really like this future world. I really like this new character. I really like the framework of the story. I really like the artwork involved. You got Rod Reyes doing one part of the story. You got Howard Chaykin doing a part of the story, and it's not bad, which surprises me. And the main part of the story is done by Leonardo Romero, who is amazing. I love this dude's artwork. I think it's fantastic. I like this story, and it's got a great little cliffhanger ending thing that I thought was really, really cool. So Captain America right now, even though it's basically been in fill-in mode since Secret Empire has ended, it's been very good, very consistent. Mark Waid's doing a great job with that. So the Mighty Thor at the Gates of Valhalla are here. And if you're not caught up, I'm not going to really spoil anything about what's been going on in the Mighty Thor comic book. But this was not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it was a very cool comic book. I really liked it. It's got one story about the future three goddesses of thunder, the grandchildren of the future Thor, drawn by Jen Bartel, of course, written by Jason Aaron. Both of these stories written by Jason Aaron. Great artwork from Jen Bartel. Really cool story, really light, kind of cool, with a little bit of hints of what's to come, and a lot of hints at what's to come in the final story, which is a big story about Malekith, what's been going on, catching you up, basically, on what he's been doing. Ever since Jason Aaron started on Thor, he's been building up this War of the Realms thing that Malekith's been doing. He's teamed up with Roxanne and all these other people from all the other of the 10 worlds. And he's causing this giant war, and it's going to explode at some point next year. It's going to be the final act of Jason Aaron's Thor. So that was a really cool, kind of neat little thing. But this is not really like a memorial type issue like we thought it would be. But it does have a little bit of that in there, which I thought was neat. The Punisher is here. I'm loving this book. Excuse me. Punisher 224. Matthew Rosenberg has been killing it on this book. I love it. I love it so much. Frank Castle gets the War Machine armor. What is he going to do with it? He's going to treat it like a tank, like a brunt instrument, and it's awesome. It's exactly what he does. It's great. It's perfectly, exactly what Frank Castle would do, and now he has to deal with the consequences. We got Stefano Landini on the artwork, but we still have Lawridge on the coloring. The coloring still works. The artwork is still in the right tone. It still works. It fits on what's been going on in this book, but it's great. But now the consequences of Frank having this War Machine armor are that the heroes are coming for him yet again. But now he's got the War Machine armor, so he thinks he's probably got a better chance. This book's awesome. Action, not too much character development, but just a lot of action. Lots of neat stuff. I love it. Punisher book right now with Matthew Rosenberg writing it has been great. Let's move on to some of the other titles. A Walk Through Hell, #1, is the best Garth Ennis book I've read in a long time. In fact, it's the only Garth Ennis book I've enjoyed in years. I thought Garth Ennis was so brilliant back in the day, and then it just started getting a little overly silly to me, right? Walk Through Hell is really, really cool. It's basically just about these two detectives, a day in their lives, this mystery that they're working on. Really liked it. Great dialogue, great social commentary at times, but nothing heavy-handed, just talking about the way society is. I really liked it. Good, clean artwork from Goran Sudzuka. Great coloring. I really liked this story. I thought it was really good. It really, really good. And it's got a great mystery to it. Seriously, so it's about these two detectives, and they go to this place, and the SWAT, because they're, okay, this is going to be really difficult to explain at times. Basically, there's something crazy going on that's making people do things. It's dark, it's evil. What is it? I don't know. So it's kind of like X-Files-y in a way, but not in a way where they're looking for things out of the ordinary, but where the ordinary, extraordinary just seems to happen. I don't know. I liked it. It's seriously a Garth Ennis book that I enjoyed, and I haven't really enjoyed a lot of his work lately. Flavor, #1 from Image Comics, is out this week from Joseph Keatage and Wook Jin Clark. Tamara Bonvillain on the coloring. I like the artwork a lot. It's crisp, it's clean, beautiful colors, it pops, it snaps. I found the story, though, a little difficult to follow. The dialogue a little difficult to follow. It didn't really seem to hook me very well. It kind of had like a thin kind of premise to it that I just didn't quite get, at least in the first issue. First issue is where you got to nail it. I just feel like this book didn't nail it, at least for me. A book that did nail it, though, is Infidel. Infidel #3 is here. This is some of the finest horror comic book stuff I have ever read. This stuff is effective. It's really, really good. The artwork is amazing. The artwork is fantastic in this book. The story is fantastic. The characterization, the atmosphere, everything about it, I love it. Look at that great artwork. Fantastic stuff from Campbell. I'm trying to see the full credits so I can get their first names. A fantastic book, though. I love it so much. Pornsak Pisha. Anyway, this book is fantastic. I love it. Aaron Campbell is the artist. The story is great. It's a really, really good horror comic. Great, just haunted ghost story that involves a lot of stuff about like hatred in our culture, and I really, really just think this book is spot on. Amazing. I love it so much. The Dead Hand #2 is out this week from Kyle Higgins. I was really, really blown away by issue 1 of this. Stephen Mooney's artwork is fantastic, enhanced by the illustrious colors of Jordi Belair. I love the artwork. It's clean. It's cool. Excuse me, man. So this story's got a really cool concept, and the first issue had a great ending that was just like, what? This issue has another one of those endings. It's great. It's just a great twist at the end that just keeps us guessing about what the story is, what's going on, but it's kind of a reference to Cold War type stuff, but it's really cool. Great artwork, a great story, a great mystery. I love it. If you like mystery in your comics, check out Dead Hand. Lucy Dreaming #3 is here from Max Bemis. I'm really liking this book. I think it's great. Michael Dialenius does some amazing artwork in this. I like the story. It's basically about this this young woman who can go into the dream space, go into what they call the storyscape, where stories exist, and she can become a part of alternate realities and stories and things like that. But it's really cool, but it goes deeper than that. It's a story about a daughter and being misunderstood by her parents, and there's a lot of different layers in there. It's kind of a coming of age type thing too. But I love it. It's very imaginative, very inventive. I like this book a lot. Alesh Kott's been doing this James Bond book called The Body, and each issue kind of focuses on a different body part. This one is the lungs, so the whole issue is kind of like a chase. Bond's chasing this dude, and there's a lot of cool stuff with a lot of cool techniques and experimentation with like rhythm and the comic book reading rhythm that I really, really thought was nifty. This has been really good. The Bond books at times are really, really solid. Sometimes not so much. This is one of those really, really solid ones. I think it's good. Barrier #3 is here. If you've been following it, it's one of those panoramic ones. Super cool. The Free Comic Book Day issue was out. This is weekly throughout May. This has no dialogue, but it's great because this exactly tells you what the sequential storytelling of comic books is all about. No dialogue, but you do not miss a beat. You know exactly what's going on in this comic book. It's great. It's just a great exploration of the medium and what it's capable of. Amazing artwork by Marcos Martin, Brian K. Vaughan's script. Well, the pacing of the issue is really good. I like that. Kick-Ass number 4 is here. I'm loving this new Kick-Ass. Seriously, Mark Millar's Kick-Ass kind of wore thin on me in the middle of Kick-Ass 2. But this one is great. This new character, Patience, I'm totally invested in her. I like her world. I like her story. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for her to win, and I'm worried about her. And that's great. That's something really, really cool to take a character that basically almost kind of became a parody of itself and to turn into something more real and dark again. I thought it was just great. Mark Millar, John Romita Jr., they're doing a great job on that one. And finally, let's talk about Shattered Grid, because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 27 is here. This book has been so fun. It's a giant Power Rangers crossover with all the different Power Ranger teams, and it's very satisfying. It's really cool. High stakes, at least it seems like it, right? So Hasbro just acquired the rights to Power Rangers, so we don't know how long IDW is going to even have this, or Boom's going to have this license. So maybe they're just going to, this is their big finale, and they're just going to do whatever they want with it since the franchise is leaving, right? Who knows? Maybe they're going to stick around, because don't fix it if it ain't broke. And the Power Rangers book ain't broke. This book has gotten better and better as it's continued. Kyle Higgins is doing a great job. Great artwork. Lots of different Ranger teams in here. The story just kind of picks up and moves along and sends these different Rangers in a different path. Fantastic stuff. Love it. So that's what I read this week. Whew, I just took the whole week off, so I was a little spazzy there on the video. Sorry about that, but thank you guys for bearing with me and checking out the video. Like I said, do check out Gideon Falls, because that's amazing. No Justice is great superhero action, as well as Avengers number 2. Fantastic stuff this week, including that Wildstorm book. Don't sleep on New Challengers, though. I really think that concept, the hook of the issue, to me, is really, really cool. Anyway, I want to know what you thought. What do you read? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and sharing. And check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and blogs and a whole lot more. And, of course, on patreon.com/PCP to help support this channel and help us grow and help us to provide more content for you. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Keep on reading.